live Q&A Muay Thai edition, and also going to be giving away some free gloves towards the end of the stream. And I got a little special surprise at the end of the stream. So even if you're watching this in the future, make sure you stick around and see what I got in store for you. But we're just doing this these lives recently because my assistant Scott in the background and I are trying to figure out how to make these the best and most efficient way possible, because we're doing a 5-day Fighter's Body challenge live just like this, and we want to make sure it's good. So hopefully the connection's okay. Hopefully the stream is all right. Last time it was like all messed up, and hopefully I'll be able to sort it out by the time that we do the actual live challenge. So what's up? Who we got here? Where you guys watching from? Boom, boom, boom. Let me know what's going on. And as always, so I don't know what the hell just happened. Fucking technology, yo. Fucking technology. What's up, everyone? So if you guys got questions, just drop them in the comments. If you put a Q beforehand, it will help my assistant Scott in the background figure out what questions to throw up on the screen and everything. We got people from Brazil, from Cambridge, Ontario. JP, what's up? We got from Ireland, the motherland, Texas. We're worldwide right now. How is the stream looking for everyone watching right now? Is it pixelated as hell, or is it actually a little like clear? Hey, doggos. Love to hear your feedback. How's the sound? This is all really important stuff. So is the sound okay? Is the picture okay? I have a feeling that the picture might be a little pixelated. Blurry as fuck. Yeah, I knew it. I fucking knew it. Looks good for you, JP? Or JR? Sorry. It's hard to read this far away. Give me some feedback. Let me know if it's good. And again, if you have any questions, shoot them my way and I can answer them. Clear now. Does it just keep going in and out? Keeps going in and out. Screen not bad. All right, this is encouraging. Sway. Ugh. This is my dog. Her name is Sway. Say hi, Sway. Hello. She hates being picked up, as you probably could tell. Sound and pick good. All right, this is encouraging, so it's not as shitty as last time. So that's always good to know. So awesome. If the sound's good, if the picture quality is good, send me some questions. Let me see if I can help you with your Muay Thai training, with lifestyle tips, all that kind of stuff. We got one from Nolan. Tips for a person with physical impairment that affects balance in starting Muay Thai. I'm trying to learn the best I can. Main thing I'm struggling with right now is a good stance form. So my usual recommendation when it comes to like balance and everything is yoga. Yoga is a really good practice, a mindful practice on getting more in tune with your body, more in touch with your body mechanics and just your movement, and getting a better understanding of how to use your body in certain ways. Also using some type of like mobility work. Ido Portal, who is or was Conor McGregor's movement coach, he does a lot of mobility and that kind of stuff. But yoga, a lot of balance poses in yoga are going to help you bring more attention and focus to your balance. And other than that, just making sure that you know the fundamentals of a stance, having your feet underneath your center of gravity, right? Your head's not moving too much one way or another. Otherwise, your center of gravity is kind of going all over the place. And just having a nice, solid, athletic stance. Knees are slightly bent, hands are up, nice and relaxed, and all that good stuff. So hopefully that helps. But usually experience is the best teacher, and just continuing to try it over and over and over again. Let me get some coffee because it's in the morning here. What else we got? Scott, send me some questions. Steven, had hip replacement a year and a half ago. How should I go about training after the surgery? Anything I should be aware about? Now, I am not a doctor. I have not had hip problems, so take what I say with a grain of salt. But I would imagine just kind of easing your way back into it. And again, with the last question about the physical impairment, just work on mobility. Mobility is super key. There's a lot of great YouTube channels and Instagram channels that focus on mobility and movement and will help you with your hips, with your hamstrings, with your joints, with everything. The internet is a wonderful thing, and it knows more than I do, believe it or not. So checking out other experts in the mobility field is probably a good way to go. And yeah, try some yoga. But other than that, ease back into it. Whenever I have an injury, especially a serious injury like that, ease back into it. Slowly but surely get used to the movements and the intensity a little bit again, and then you can start picking it up little by little. Boom. You guys are killing it with the questions. Thank you so much. What age did I start Muay Thai? I was about 19 or 20 when I started. And I started boxing when I was like 17 or 18, really, really little. And then that led me to MMA. And then MMA led to Muay Thai. And then I just fell in love with Muay Thai and I said, fuck MMA. Jiu-jitsu and sweating. Or I remember the day I was like, you know what? Jiu-jitsu and MMA, I'll pass. I was doing jiu-jitsu and rolling around, and I got caught in north-south position, which otherwise is known as like 69, and I was on the bottom. And a guy farted in my face, and I couldn't get out. I couldn't fucking get out, and I was just stuck there. And I was like, you know what? I think I'll just stick with Muay Thai. Should I know how to get out of this position? Yes, but I don't ever want to be in that position again, so I'm just going to make a turn and do some Muay Thai. That's a little tidbit. Oh, fucking skeets are out, yo. Tips on how to block better. Get really good balance. Balance is key. Really good, solid foundation in your stance. And spar more. Get used to working on your defense. And also when you're doing any type of individual work, whether it's like the heavy bag or shadow boxing, make sure you're just adding in blocks in between your combinations, at the end of combinations, at the start of combinations. Defense should be an integral part of your heavy bag work, your shadow boxing work. It's not just offense, right? If I were to do Muay Thai all over again, yo, I would focus on defense so much more. So much more. I would get that shit so good. And we have, like, I can see a lot of questions coming up, and I'm sure that there's going to be some that we overlook. So if we overlook it, just keep asking it. And if you really want it answered, Scott will realize that you really want to answer it, and he'll post it up here. But just know that there's a lot of comments, because this is going live on YouTube and Facebook. And so some of the comments you can't even see. But yeah, just thought you should know. By the way, how sexy is this tank top? War Watana. Yeah. If you guys want to support a really good cause and look sexy while doing it, get one of these shirts at the Nak Muay Nation shop. NakMuayNation.com/shop. The profits of these go to a gym in rural Isan, Thailand, where the kids are growing up in a really tough environment. And War Watana created this gym environment, so this way these kids have somewhere to, essentially a sanctuary to go to after school, to avoid gangs, bad environments back at home, and that kind of stuff. And it really is a really good family environment. And I hope to visit there someday soon. I've been meaning to. But 100% of the profits of these shirts go there. So go check it out. And yeah, what else we got? Scott, throwing up there. I've been training for 4 months. When do you think I should have my first fight? Whenever the fuck you think so, man. It doesn't matter what I think. It matters what you think. It matters what your coach thinks. I know people who have taken years to have their first fight. I know people who have taken 1 month to have their first fight. So it really just depends on your situation, your own confidence going in, how much you've been training in those 4 months, how focused you've been in those 4 months, the fight opportunities around you right now, especially with COVID and stuff, they're probably pretty limited. And so, yeah, I would say talk to your trainer, talk to your coach and your team before anything. They'll know better than I do in regards to if you're ready or not. And sometimes you might not ever feel ready. So just keep that in mind as well. You can never get good enough and be confident enough going into a fight. There's always room for improvement, but that's kind of the beauty of fighting, is jumping before you're ready sometimes and just testing yourself out, you know? Boom. Dropping bombs. All right, we got a long question here. Sandy Faye, what's up, Sandy? Sandy Faye. I'm a beginner at Muay Thai. I'm interested to know the difference of a boxing stance and a Muay Thai stance, and which is regularly used. Also, I need help with center of gravity with my body kicks, my pivot and lean. I feel so uncool. You know what, Sandy? I think you're the fucking coolest. So don't you worry about feeling uncool. So first off, the boxing stance. Let me move this camera real quick. Boom. Do like that. I think this should be all right. My head might get cut off a little bit. It's all good. All right, so Muay Thai stance. No, this is going to bother me too much. Does this come up a little bit? You need to see my beautiful face. Otherwise, what's the point, right? All right, so. Oh, now I'm out of focus. Focus on this beautiful face, camera. You can do it. You can do it. There we go. Stay focused. There we go. Follow me. All right. Hopefully this is good enough for you. So a Muay Thai stance, you're a little bit more upright. You're a little bit more straight up. Your feet are more underneath you as well. Where with a boxing stance, your feet tend to be a little bit more wide and your shoulders tend to be, let me face the camera, and your shoulders tend to be a little bit not square. With Muay Thai, you're a lot more square because you have to be able to block kicks, especially with leg kicks. If you're boxing and you're kind of sideways like this, your legs are just going to get chopped to pieces, if you know what I mean, okay? And so make sure when you're doing Muay Thai that you're a little bit more square, your shoulders, your hips are facing forward. And then when you're throwing kicks, I know it's focusing on the heavy bag. You're supposed to focus on me, camera. But when you're throwing kicks and you're feeling off balance, try to keep your head above your post leg and try not to have too wide of a stance. Too wide of a stance is going to actually, this bird is really annoying. Too wide of a stance is going to actually be a detriment to your kicks, to your defense, and that kind of stuff. So you just want your feet pretty much underneath your hips, underneath your shoulders, and a nice solid stance. Hopefully that answers your question. I know I kind of got distracted with the camera and all this other shit. Let's see. Move this back a little bit. All right. Boom. All right. Thank you for that question. Hopefully that helped a little bit. But essentially the boxing stance, you're squared off because you don't have to worry about kicks and shit. Where a Muay Thai stance, you're more standing facing forward. So this way you can defend the kicks and be ready to clinch a motherfucker and elbow them. Boom. All right. Killing it. What is your best combination? Jab, cross. Boom. Jab, cross, kick. Or cross kick. Or jab kick. Or hook kick. Nothing fancy, yo. The basics is what wins fights. I'll tell you a nice one, a little bit more fancy one that I like to use is I'll throw my jab, my lead side, and as I do that, I'll step my rear foot forward, boom. So this way I'll cut a southpaw angle, and then I'll throw an uppercut or a hook with my power side. This is my right side. So I'll be, let's see if I can do it from here, right? So I'll throw my jab and step, boom, then throw the uppercut and then a hook. Or I'll just jab and step, boom, throw the hook, and then come with a kick or a knee or something like that. I like throwing combos and techniques that get me in the southpaw position because the angles and opportunities to attack there are beautiful. They're fucking beautiful. Not like you guys, though. You guys are the most beautiful. Do you ever worry about brain damage? Yes, I do. Indeed, I do. That's why when people ask me about left way, when I do that, it's like, no, I get enough brain damage doing Muay Thai. But yeah, it's part of the sport. It's something that you have to kind of accept as a fighter, that you're going to get a little bit, going to lose some brain cells in the process. And but I want to be living as fulfilling, as meaningful of a life. I want to be learning as much about myself if I didn't fight. And so, although it might hypothetically be taking years off my life, by fighting, I'm having much more of a quality life because I'm able to really find out more about myself through fighting, through training, through sparring, through all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, and hopefully by the time I'm 90, they have like I can replace my consciousness into another body, and then I won't have to worry about it, right? And they'll probably have like stem cells and that kind of shit. Hopefully by then too, so I can just have a brand new brain and be good. So no, I'm not worried about brain damage then. All right, I live in Jamaica and there's no Muay Thai gyms near me. What should I do? You're 14 years old. What's up, Niedrick? Hope I'm pronouncing your name right. My YouTube channel is a great place to start. I would recommend signing up for the 5-day challenge that I have coming up because it will give you some useful tools and tips to make sure that you're getting some good training in. And then my YouTube channel is a good place to be as well because there's a lot of free workouts that you can follow along with. And other than that, you should try to video yourself. And when you video yourself, try to be your own best coach, right? And also post in groups like the Nak Muay Nation Facebook group. People are really helpful there, and they'll offer you good constructive criticism. And yeah, that's the best advice I could give you from that. Let me move this. I'm sorry, I'm all fidgety with the camera. And I'm not vain with all these posters of me in the back. You know, it's just, they look cool. So that's why I have them there. What is your favorite glove brand? Funny you should ask. You know why? Because I got new motherfucking Nak Muay Nation gloves. I'm going to be giving away one of these pairs at the end of this. And also, these are during the next 24 hours, since I'm doing this live, these are $20 off in the Nak Muay Nation store. So go check them out. Premium leather, double strap gloves. You know why I like this double strap? Because you got one strap, and then you got two straps. Boom. So this way, it offers really solid wrist protection. And really good padding up here. So I've been really enjoying these. And yeah, these are the first run of, I think we ordered around 100 of these to sell and to get some feedback from to make sure that these are as high quality as possible. So if you end up getting these for $20 off in the next 24 hours, let me know what you think. And I also have a 30-day warranty. So if you use these and you're punching and you're kicking and you're doing all the stuff and something happens to the stitching or the Velcro or whatever, I have a 30-day warranty where I'll send you a whole new free pair of gloves because I want to make sure that you guys are getting the best quality possible. Other than my biases of my own gloves, I like Top King probably the most. Top King Boone makes really good gloves. To be honest, I'm not really a fan of Fairtex gloves. They haven't fit me well. They haven't lasted long. Maybe it's just the type I've gotten. But Top King tend to be the go-to if I'm not using my my Nak Muay Nation gloves. But hopefully Nak Muay Nation, the idea for Nak Muay Nation brands and bags and this kind of stuff is I want to be right up there when like people ask, what gloves are your favorite? What gloves are the best? Boom, Nak Muay Nation. Shin guards, all that kind of stuff. I'll do shin guards next, but right now I'm just trying to focus on making like the best fucking gloves. All right, killing it. We got Jewology. Nice name. Could you show us different guards you use for specific situations, like alternating between helmet guard, long guard, slipping, etc.? Sure. Just have a sip of coffee. So I typically like to use long guard the most, right? So long guard is more of an active guard than most people think. It's not like you're just holding it here and waiting for someone to punch you, right? You're kind of having your arms out like this and then reacting based on what they're throwing. So if they're throwing punches, especially to the head, then my rear hand, this is my right hand, is going to be coming across my face for crosses, or I can be having my my hand going right here so it blocks any punches here. Then I come off to the side if they're throwing hooks, or use the Dracula guard right here if they're throwing uppercuts. Then this lead side is going to be blocking any punches, so I can almost like stiff arm them or like block their shoulders or kind of meet their punches halfway so I can stop them. And this is also really good for elbow defense as well. I typically don't use turtle guard too much because I can't see as well. And if I can't see as well, I can't block and attack as well. And so if I'm like this is rare. I'm usually like in the corner just trying to defend. But the long guard is really good because you can grab onto your opponent. So if someone's coming in trying to throw all these boxing combinations at you, you can grab onto them and start elbowing them and clinching them. Also with the long guard, you're able to block kicks, I feel like, a lot easier. Where with this, I don't know, just my body positioning doesn't feel as easy to transition to blocking. With this, I can block a lot easier. Your body is a little open for like body shots and everything. You can drop this down, right? You could drop this down. You can use your legs to block and that kind of stuff. But I'm definitely a big fan of long guard. And then slipping and everything just kind of comes depending on the situation in a fight. So if you guys are boxing and you want to be making them miss, then sometimes I'll have my hands kind of down and I'll just be parrying and moving a little bit to kind of bait them in and to see what type of openings there are. And so it's good to mix up your defense just as much as it is to mix up your offense. I'm just going to turn this away from the back. It keeps focusing on the bag and not on me. And I'm too prideful for it to not be just focusing on me. Because I'm the motherfucking Muay Thai guy, you know? All right. Hope that guard question helped. That was a good question. That was a very good question. Boom. Man, you think I'd know how to do this camera setup and shit by now, but I'm still an amateur. In my current gym, there is no emphasis on Muay Thai bounce, like shown in the Muay Thai pros. We speak about the importance of Muay Thai bounce march. What's your say on this? I'm not necessarily sure what you mean by the Muay Thai bounce, because like people aren't like bouncing around like this most of the time. Most of the time, I'm imagining that you mean, why don't you just stay motherfucking focused, you piece of shit? Most of the time, I'm thinking that you mean like the lead side bounce, like that, right? It depends. I mean, it all depends on your fighting style, who's teaching and that kind of stuff. You see some Muay Thai fighters, they won't use this lead side bounce as much. But if you're playing defense, usually you can use this because this way you can bring that teep up real quick, or you can go into the switch kick real quick, or you can use that as a fake to throw some combinations and that kind of stuff. What's the rest of the question? And the march. The march is really important. So you should definitely try to get that in, because when you march, it allows you to cover distance, and especially if you're a Muay Thai fighter who likes to clinch and throw knees, or a Muay Sulk fighter who likes to throw elbows, the march is going to help you cover that distance and grab on for the clinch. So yeah, it's definitely worth taking a little bit more look into. And Lawrence Kenshin has a lot of great breakdowns of great fighters who use certain techniques like this. So you can definitely check him out. And I'll try to do some YouTube videos on those two aspects, but I'm assuming that's what you mean by the Muay Thai bounce. I'm not exactly sure, but hopefully that answers your question. Can you show us your favorite combination to hide a head kick? I don't throw too many head kicks, to be honest, but what I like to do is I'll just I'll throw a jab, and as I jab, I'll like kind of step forward a little bit, and as I step forward, I'll pull my opponent's guard down. And I'm not warmed up, so I cannot throw a head kick right now. But I'll pull my opponent's guard down and then throw a head kick. Or I'll throw my rear cross, right, as almost like as bait. And then I'll grab my opponent's guard, pull it down, and then come with a head kick. So just a simple punch followed by a head kick. Or you can attack the body, boom, boom, and then come over top from the outside. But those are some of the ones that I like to use to set up head kicks. I have one head kick knockout. Boom. Added to the bucket list. I've lived a good life. But other than that, all my knockouts have come from this motherfucker right here. Either a cross or uppercut or overhand or leg kicks. I like kicking people in the legs. I finished 2 fights with leg kicks recently, and it feels pretty good. Kind of feel bad about my opponent, but it's Muay Thai. Hi, Sean. What's up, Southpaw? What do you think of jabbing and stepping in with the back foot? I like it because if I jab and step in with the back foot, I can switch my stance and go to Southpaw and set up different combinations from the outside. Also, you can also be driving forward as you're moving and switching your feet underneath you. But yeah, I like jabbing and stepping with my rear foot because I like fighting in both stances. But if you're more of an orthodox fighter, you probably don't want to do too much of that. But I usually recommend trying to learn how to fight a little bit from both stances because in the context of a fight, you don't know after you throw a combination or you defend, you probably will end up in your opposite stance. So it's good to know at least a little bit how to defend and attack from there. And then if you ever have your arm broken or your leg just chopped to pieces, it's good to be able to switch stances and still be dangerous from the other stance. So this way you can still win the fight. I've had fights where I had my arm broken and I still won, and I had fights where my leg was chopped to pieces, but I was able to switch stances and still win. And so it's really does help to fight from both stances. That's one thing that I learned from Dwayne Ludwig. Cedric, what's up? Someday I will try to compete in MMA after I graduate college, but I have no coach. Do you have any tips on how I can teach myself? Video yourself. Post in supportive groups like the Nak Muay Nation Facebook group, so this way you can have some constructive criticism and feedback. But if you want to be pro MMA, you got to find a coach. You got to find a team. You can't do this by yourself. You can definitely get some good training in by yourself, but when it comes to getting to that next level, that pro level specifically, you need a team. And so if you decide that this is something that you actually want to do, then you need to make the sacrifice and move somewhere near a gym, near a team that's going to help you get to that level. Otherwise, you'll be doing yourself a disservice just by training by yourself. You need that outside perspective in order to actually know what you need to be improving on and how to improve, and just give you different looks in regards to technique and philosophy and strategy and tactics and that kind of stuff. But other than that, I mean, when I was even when I train now, I'm still training like 60 to 80% by myself. And I like to video myself. I like to make sure I have intention behind everything I'm doing. So the Heavy Bag Blueprint is a really good training tool because if you use a course like that, there's intention behind you hitting the heavy bag. Same with the Fighter's Body, which is opening up January 28th. You should sign up for that challenge if you haven't already. Fightersbody.com, thefightersbody.com/challenge. But I have workouts, follow-on workouts that are specific to specific techniques or themes. So like month 2 of the Fighter's Body is all about balance and control. So you're focusing really on being able to throw kicks with balance, throw strikes with balance, and be in control of your body. Then month 3 is all about defense. And so you're working on all these other defensive maneuvers and some footwork. I have a month on boxing, a month on kicking, and so on and so forth. So just having intention behind what you're doing is definitely going to help. Boom. I'm drinking too much coffee. I'm going to have to piss soon. Ain't good. But we're good. We still got like another half hour. Making good time, having good questions, good conversations. I appreciate you all for joining, by the way. It's like, it makes my heart flutter when I know I have so many fans who actually watch what I'm doing. Tyrone, how do you like to practice your defense while training on the heavy bag? Any common drills for that? Let's see. Let me turn this real quick. Not that I'm even going to be like hitting the heavy bag, but just so you have an idea. So like I was saying earlier in the video, I'm not sure if you heard, I like to have defense as just a part of my muscle memory, right? So whenever I'm throwing a combination, a part of my combination is defense. So maybe most people think like a jab, cross, kick, right? Jab, cross, kick, whatever that might be. I'm thinking jab, cross, long guard, kick, or jab, cross, kick, check, or jab, lean back, cross, kick. So I'm trying to think of ways to add some type of defensive maneuver or technique to regular combinations. And by doing this, you'll automatically build in this muscle memory and this like second nature of defense into your movements. Two simple drills is start with the defensive move and throw a combination, and then end with the defensive move. And so maybe I'll start with a long guard, throw an elbow, throw some knees, and then I'll check and long guard and move back. Or maybe I'll start with a check, go into a switch kick, throw a combination, and then lean back. So this way I'm just getting used to always having some type of defense built into my arsenal. That's the best way I would recommend doing it. You also have to use some visualization and be a little creative in that sense. But yeah, hopefully that helps. I will eventually get this camera set up perfect. Still working out the kinks though. Still working out the kinks. All right, what we got here? Dragos. Fly to Thailand for the first time, wanted to train longer term. Any opinion on how long you should stay for the first time or any tips, knowledge? So a lot of these questions like how long should you train in Thailand? How long should you take before your first fight? It really depends on you, right? And so I can give you some general advice, but just know that everyone's situation is different and what I'm suggesting might be great for you or might not be. So just a little disclaimer. But the longer you can stay in Thailand, bitch, the better. So like if you can go to Thailand and stay there for a year, stay there for a year. If all you can do is 3 months, then do 3 months. The longer you can stay and the longer you can train, the better it's going to be for your Muay Thai, obviously. And you get to experience a little bit more of a different lifestyle here in Thailand, different culture, different way of training, different delicious food and all that kind of stuff. So if you can fly to Thailand and stay here for, I would recommend at least a month, like a month minimum. If you really want to get some good training in and have a real experience. 2 weeks is okay. 3 weeks is okay. It's better than nothing, right? But I would say at least a month. 3 months is a good medium spot, and then 6 months plus is what I would recommend if possible. Because yeah, you can't. The thing is, like the first time I went to Thailand, I went for 3 months, and then I went back home to New York, and training in New York is great and everything, but once you go to Thailand and you have a pad holder and Thai trainer working with you every single day, and you go back and you have to do a lot of the things by yourself, you're like, fuck, I need to figure out how to go back to Thailand. And so ever since I went to Thailand the first time, I set a plan. I was like, I got to figure out how to move to Thailand full time, and look at me now. Been here for 3 years now, a little over 3 years. It's a good life out here. There's some pros and cons, just like anywhere, but you know. What's up, everyone? How many people we got watching? I feel like we got a decent amount of people watching. Sometimes it's weird doing these lives and knowing that people are watching me. Tips on how to approach first sparring session. Steven, sorry. Approach it playfully. Have fun. Don't worry about going hard. It really does help if you have a good team environment and good sparring partners, because it can get a little out of hand. Because I would honestly work with someone who's more experienced to begin with. If you're going with someone else who's doing their first sparring session or still early on in their career, it can get crazy. You guys will just start throwing fucking haymakers, and then emotions get high, and then you guys start trying to hurt each other. If you work with someone who's a lot better than you and who's not an asshole, ideally, they'll let you work and they'll let you get a feel for what it's like to get hit lightly and to see what punches and kicks look like coming your way. So I would definitely try to work with more experienced guys. Work on control and work on defense. It's easy to just start throwing punches and kicks without thinking, but if you can learn how to defend before you learn how to actually like land strikes and everything, a good defense is going to open up so much offense for you, and it's going to help you avoid excess brain damage and injury. And so if you're able to really focus on your defense, work on checking kicks, avoiding getting hit, and just trying to see what your opponent is doing, that's going to be really helpful. So just some basic first sparring tips. Have fun. Try to find a good experienced sparring partner, and then just work on like defense and some basic combinations and stuff. But it's all part of the learning process, all part of the journey. Just know that like you don't win or lose a sparring session unless you're trying to do a sparring session where you win or lose. But most of the time it's all about learning and trying to figure out what works. It's like it's just like a practice game, if anything, a scrimmage, if you will. Got about 20 minutes left. 20 minutes left. How have you watched the movie On Bak? Ong Bak. Yes, I've watched that movie. I've watched. I actually just watched Karate Kid the other night because my wife hasn't seen it, and everyone's talking about Cobra Kai and shit. I was like, well, you got to watch Karate Kid before we start watching Cobra Kai. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of context that you miss. So watch Karate Kid recently. One thing that I'm a little ashamed of is she hasn't watched Bloodsport yet either, or Kickboxer. And we've been together for 10 years. And I'm like, wow, you haven't watched these movies? Like, that's my fault. That's my bad. I am not a good husband. And so we're going to be definitely watching Bloodsport and Kickboxer soon. But I have to watch some of her movies, like A Walk to Remember and The Notebook and that kind of shit. So balance, you know? All right, WM. In the movie Bloodsport, Frank Dukes had to fight Paco, who was a Muay Thai fighter. If you replace Paco, how would you fuck up Frank Dukes? Kick him in the legs. And that's a good question. I don't remember. I haven't watched the movie for a while, so I don't remember what Paco did to fight Frank. But leg kicks, body kicks, I would just throw a lot of fucking kicks. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer to that. I'm sorry. I failed you. Kahaya. What's up? How do you gain more power when you kick, Sean? You kick a lot. And you keep getting better at it. And you keep practicing the technique. And you just keep working at it. Really getting that hip rotation, that body rotation. And driving with your shin and not your foot. But yeah, you just kick a lot. You just fucking always be kicking, and that will get your kicks better. You can check out the 100-day challenge. This way you're doing 100 kicks every day for 100 days. And at the end of that, guess what? You've thrown 10,000 kicks. And you know the Bruce Lee saying, he's more afraid of someone who's practiced one kick 10,000 times than someone who's practiced 10,000 kick one time. And so that's a good way to really just get that repetition in and focus on that power and that speed and that technique. But yeah, how to improve on anything. If you guys ever ask me like how to get better at boxing, how to get better at kicking, how to get better at clinching, you do it. You just fucking do it. Obviously, there's some other things that you can do, specific drills and that kind of shit. But when it comes down to it, experience and repetition is the mother of all skill. And there's no like shortcut to it besides being intentional. Like if you're intentional behind everything you're doing, it's going to help you progress a lot faster. Whereas if you're just doing it mindless, you're not thinking about what you're doing, you're not taking into consideration the technique, the hip turn, the foot pivot, the shoulder turn, your chin being tucked, yada, 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 then it might take a little bit longer to progress. But if you're focusing on those finer details, you'll see a lot more results a little bit faster. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. What we got. JR, greetings from Dutchess County, brother. Dutchess County, New York. Oh, shit. What are you coming back to Stockade? How can I get a head up when you're visiting? What's up? So for those of you who don't know, I was born and raised in New Paltz, New York, which is Ulster County, right next to Dutchess County in New York. And the Stockade Muay Thai, which was originally Black and Blue MMA, was my first gym I trained at. As far as I know, I don't think Stockade is actually open or around right now. I know the owners, my training partners, and I'm not sure if they're working together anymore. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know when I'll be back. But I'll make sure to post about it whenever I'm back. I do miss my family and friends back in the States. I haven't been back since October last year, and so I'll definitely be posting about it whenever I do go back because that'll be an event. But I don't think it's going to happen until at least the end of this year. Probably maybe holidays next year. I'm hoping for the holidays next year, but with this COVID shit, you just don't know. And it's doing 14-day quarantine here in like Thailand doesn't sound appealing. And yeah, we're living a pretty good life right now. Pretty healthy, happy, purposeful, good flow of work and training and that kind of stuff right now. So we don't really want to break it up too much. But I know things will be changing in a few months. So we'll kind of wait and see what's going on. What else we got here? Thank you all for the questions and for joining. How many hours do you stretch a week to get head kicks? There's no specific answer to this, but I stretch every day. I stretch in the morning and I stretch at night. And then when I train, I try to do a little bit of stretching before and a little bit afterwards. So you should stretch as much as you possibly can. You're watching TV, stretch. You're watching me live right now, stretch. You're, I don't know, cooking food and letting it boil, stretch. Just like always be stretching. You could also check out my wife, Liz. So she is a Muay Thai practitioner and she is a yoga teacher. And she's been teaching yoga to Nak Muay specifically at our Muay Thai vacations in here in Thailand for 5+ years now. So she knows exactly what us Muay Thai fighters need in order to improve for your head kicks and stuff. So if you go to nakmuaynation.com/headkicks, or no, /high kicks, sorry, you can sign up for a free video, a free 15-minute high kick sequence. And hopefully that will help you. But you should just stretch all the time as much as you possibly can. And that's going to help you. And mobility and recovery and that kind of stuff should be as much part of your training, your mindset. Like people think of training as just like kicking the bag, shadow boxing, sparring, yada, yada, yada. But it's so much more than that. It's about training your mind too. You should be visualizing, meditating, doing some self-hypnosis, doing some self-study. And then you should also be doing recovery, using the sauna, doing some mobility, doing some stretching, doing some breathing exercises and that kind of stuff. So it's all encompassing. What else? What else? What's up, Hazy? What is the correct way to position your fist for a hook? I see some people throwing hooks with their fist facing the floor and some with their fist facing themselves. So, good question. There is no correct way, right? So, one thing to consider whenever you're being taught a technique is that when you're being taught a technique, that's the way that that person learned the technique. There are so many different ways to do certain techniques. Some people with the roundhouse kick say you drive off the ground. Some say you stay flat-footed. Some say you lean your head back. Some say you keep your head forward. So it really kind of depends on what works best for you when it comes down to it. And so actually trying it out and seeing what makes the most sense for you when you're hitting the heavy bag, when you're sparring and that kind of stuff is going to be super important. This is my philosophy. So when I throw a hook, let me make sure I'm nice and close. When I throw a hook, so you have this one, right? When I throw this one, what I notice with this is first, my wrist isn't directly in line with my arm and my fist. And so it tends to have a little bit more strain on my wrist in that sense because my wrist isn't as locked in. Also, my elbow is kind of low. And so it's not protecting my chin as much because my shoulder isn't as high up. I can try to make it more purposeful by having my elbow up. But just naturally, if I throw it like this, my elbow might be in line, but it's usually lower or in line, but it's never up too high, right? I also feel when I'm punching like this, you have to really turn this. And sometimes if you turn it too much, I don't know if you can tell, but my wrist isn't straight, and that could really hurt your wrist. I like to throw it like this because my wrist is nice and straight. Also, I'm hitting with these two knuckles, as opposed to if I'm doing this, I'm usually hitting with the inside knuckles, not the punching knuckles, if you will. So I like to punch like this because, so I have my fist like this, my elbow is down. Once I rotate my fist, my elbow naturally comes up just because that's what my body does. And so now I have a better defense with my chin because my chin's behind my shoulder and also my elbow's up, so it's easier able to get around my opponent. Now, sometimes I'll use this way to throw it, because I'll just want to not necessarily land the hook, but just throw the hook so my opponent blocks it and all their weight shifts so I can land a roundhouse or a cross. Or sometimes I'll just fucking bitch slap them. I'll bitch slap them as hard as I can and get them going in this direction so this way I can follow up with something from my power side. But if I'm throwing a hook with power, I'm usually rotating my fist like this. So, but like I said, try both. See what works best for you. See what makes the most sense. And yeah, experiment. There's no right or wrong way. There's just whatever works best for you. So keep that in mind with any technique that you learn. That there's always multiple ways to teach it, to learn it, to do it. And so it's just a matter of how you apply it in your own training, in your own fight. So hope that makes sense. I have a fight in 6 weeks. Any tips? Train your ass off. Have fun. Listen to your trainers. Boom. The more work you put in, The more time you put in, the more confident you'll feel going into the fight. If you start cutting corners, if you're not as disciplined and hardworking as you know that you can be, that's when the doubt can creep in, and that's when the doubt can really have an impact on you in the fight. That being said, as long as you're putting in the work, you're being open to what your trainer is teaching you, you're being mindful of your strengths and weaknesses, that's what really matters the most. But just have fun, have fun. That's the most important thing. At one point in my career, I stopped having fun and I started to resent fighting in Muay Thai. And once I kind of shifted my mind to be like, oh, dude, this is like so much fun. You get to fight people. You get to experience something that not many people get to experience. You actually have the ability to fight. You have you have 2 arms, 2 legs, you have good eyesight, you have a good brain, you have all this kind of stuff. So the fact that you're able to actually fight is a blessing. And so I try to keep a grateful, gratitude mind, if you will, because not everyone has the ability to actually fight. And most, like I would say, people who train Muay Thai, I would say 90% plus don't ever fight. And so the fact that you're getting in the ring is already a win. And as corny and cliche as that shit sounds, it's a fucking truth. It's a motherfucking truth. Boom, 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 boom. How can I condition my skull to absorb stronger knees and head kicks? You can't. Drink more milk. That is my answer. Drink more milk. You can't. It's like the Brazilians and like back in the Pride days and everything, you think you could condition your skull just by getting punched all the time. And you see some of these crazy ass fucking videos of like a coach lining up his students and all punching them in the face as much as they can so they can condition their brain. You can't do that shit. The best way to condition your skull is not get hit in the fucking skull. You only have so many punches you could take. So defense. Avoid getting hit. The best way to condition your skull is to not condition your skull. How do you maintain control of someone in the plum so they don't cross face or swim? And what would you go to escape be, especially if they're tall, stronger, so you don't get manhandled? So a lot of people, when they think of Muay Thai clinch, they think of the plum, right? That's just one position. So if someone's trying to break out of that position, you should be able to transition to over-under or like double inside control or a bear hug. You should be able to transition pretty quickly to something based on their defense. So you should have a counter to their counter. I like need someone here in order. Yeah, because if someone tries to cross face you, right, you can then turn their shoulder even more and get them in a really awkward position where you can knee them and stuff. And so there's a bunch of transitions that you should try to, you could go on my YouTube channel and you could also just check out some YouTube videos on how to defend the plum, and I'm sure there'll be some good ones in there. And you have to just figure out what's the best counter to their counter. In regards to avoiding the plum with someone, one of the best ways to avoid the plum is just not get in it, right? And so when someone tries to grab your head, lift your shoulder and do a shoulder shrug. Boom, just something like this. Simple as that. And keeping your chin tucked, then it's going to be hard for them to grab your head. Making sure your head is above your hips as well. You don't want to have your hips back here and try to lift up. You can't do that, right? Your hips should be underneath your head. So this way you have more resistance with that. And then also if someone's taller and stronger than you, you can also grab in with double underhooks and hold in there and try to sweep them from the double underhooks. So when I clinch Paul, who's like 6'4", it's really easy for him to grab the plum on me, right? And so I'll make sure to try to get at least one arm control. If he ends up getting the plum, then I'll dig deep in and try to like hug him and sweep him from there. But hopefully those are some useful tools. But yeah, clinch. I can obviously clinch. It's not one of my favorite things to do. It's not one of my strengths. I'm good enough where I can hurt people in the clinch and sweep people in the clinch. Am I trying to ever get in clinch? No. Most oftentimes, no. Because I just like punching people. That's like my favorite thing. Kicking people is cool too, but mainly punching people. Punching people's fun. When are you going to see Sean Fagan fight for Glory Kickboxing? Do not know. We'll just have to wait and see how the cards play out. But I'm in no rush to fight. Like I said, I'm enjoying my life right now with my wife and my 2 dogs. we're staying healthy, we're staying active, we're doing some meaningful work, and so I'm not in a rush to try to fight on Glory or One or anything like that. One of my goals though is so Glory is cool and everything, but I want to be doing Muay Thai more than I want to be doing kickboxing. So I want to become a champion on one of the promotions here in Thailand, on like Muay Thai Super Champ or Muay Thai Hardcore. And if I do that, I think I'll feel pretty fulfilled, and then I'll probably retire after that. That's the goal. But if I win a championship here in Thailand, then I'm a fucking badass, and I should probably keep fighting, right? So it's kind of hard to know what I would do, but the goal is in the next couple of years is to like truly pursue a championship here in Thailand once fights get going again, and once I finish some work projects, then I could just throw myself all into Muay Thai. Because I'm 33, I want to be fighting for maybe like another 2 or 3 years, and in those 2 or 3 years, I want to fucking just go in, just see what I can actually do, because I've always been juggling too many things with fighting, and I'm just curious of how good I would do if I were just focused on fighting. And so that would be interesting. And I think I do pretty well. So we will see. Boom, boom, boom. Immersion diversions. How do you get back into training after a break? 2 weeks in my case. 1 day at a time. 1 hour at a time. 1 minute at a time. You just... let me think of any practical advice. Because obviously all this like esoteric advice is like, yeah, just show up, right? But the best way, I mean, it's adding some type of accountability, whether it's social accountability or other types of accountability. So there's this website that I use called stick.com, stickk.com. And the way it works is you essentially are betting on yourself to do something. So like if you want to go back to training, let's say, you bet $100 that you'll be back at your first training session by the end of the week. And you could hire a referee or a friend or coworker or someone in your life to make sure that you actually do this. And if you don't do this, that $100 gets donated to a charity, either a charity or an anti-charity, to something that you don't believe in. So like for me, it would be to like the NRA or the pro-life people. If I were to donate to that would hurt, right? And so when I know that if I don't go to training this week, then I'm going to have to donate to a charity that I don't want my money going to. That will add some fucking motivation if you need it. And then other than that, yeah, it's just 1 day at a time. Just like try to get to 1 session during the week. And then maybe the next week try 2 sessions. And then the next week try 3 sessions, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that Stick website, I've lost some money on that shit, I'll tell you that much. Do you follow amateur Muay Thai? It looks like kickboxing to me, maybe because of Dutch kickboxing dominance. Any thoughts? Greetings from Turkey. I don't really follow too much amateur. When I was an amateur, I was following amateur in the States and everything. It depends on the rule set, the country, and that kind of stuff. But no, I don't follow too much of it. I think there's plenty to learn from amateur fights. I mean, I learned a lot from my amateur fights, and it all depends on the people who are fighting too. So you could watch a fight where it looks like a kickboxing fight, but you could also watch a fight where it's just primarily clinch. You're just watching that. So it all depends on the context and that kind of stuff. But yeah. What are your thoughts on the Bong Sao guard from Wing Chun? Rear forearm covering the side of your head, lead hand dropping down, lead elbow up. Like this. Kind of like a Philly shell. It has its place. I don't really use it too much. In boxing, I think it would be a little bit more effective. In Muay Thai, you can like use the Philly shell, right? Where you're just kind of doing some shoulder rolls and that kind of stuff. And you could use it in Muay Thai. It's just not as effective, or it might be a little bit more dangerous. But there's a time and place for almost any guard. It just depends on how, what your fighting style is like and how you flow in the context of a fight. Been doing this for about an hour, huh? All right, we'll do another like 10 minutes. So get in your questions if you got any questions before I get going out of here. And I'll also be giving away some of these gloves very soon. And I'll have to think of a question to give them away. But right now they're at the shop, nakmuaynation.com/shop for $20 off for the next 24 hours. There's a limited in stock, so grab them while they're hot. Boom. Alrighty, almost there. What's your opinion on endurance running and Muay Thai training? I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion. I think running, I mean, you have to run to do Muay Thai for the most part. I mean, you don't have to, but if you look at all the top boxers of all time, all the top Muay Thai fighters currently now, they all run, with the exception of maybe like a couple, right? And so, yeah, running, I don't know what endurance running is necessarily, but running every day is something I do because I've learned to love it, learned to enjoy being outside and just being with my thoughts. And it's a good way to build your aerobic base. So this way you can recover faster between spurts, between rounds, and you can train for longer because the better aerobic base that you have with your heart, the slower heart rate you have, the more likely you'll be able to train harder and train longer. So it's a good thing to make sure to have as part of your training routine. No running, no Muay Thai, as I say. Hashtag. Do you teach Muay Thai for self-defense? If so, what are a couple of your favorite techniques? No, I just teach Muay Thai to teach Muay Thai. Whether you want to use it for self-defense or not, it's all good. I would say use elbows more than anything because punching with your hand, bare knuckle, hurts like a motherfucker. But just like a simple jab cross, teeps. But I am not a self-defense expert, so I don't want to give too much advice on that. But if I were to, if someone were to break into my house again and I would have to fuck them up, I would use my elbows as opposed to my fists. That's for sure. And maybe clinch them and just fucking But when all that adrenaline's pumping and someone just broke into your house, I'm just going to what I know best, and that's punching. So yeah. Yeah, man, yeah. Oliver, as a beginner, I'm not sure on the proper kick technique. Should my leg be diagonal like when hitting pads or horizontal when leg should be diagonal? Like when you're making contact, I'm assuming. It's usually more diagonal, like the angle of the kick. Well, it depends on where you're aiming the kick as well. If you're trying to kick across their arms, then sometimes your kick is going to be a little bit more horizontal. If you're trying to kick underneath their arms and kick their body, that's going to be a little bit more diagonal. So this way has a better angle to actually slip through their defense. The more round and horizontal it is, the easier it will be for them to see it. You might be able to deliver a little bit more power. But like I was saying before, there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just whatever works best for you. So mess around and see what works best in the context of sparring. And but for the most part, I try to throw mine relatively quick. Let me see if I can. So you talk about like horizontal, it's kind of like that. That I feel like is a little bit more telegraphed. And so I try not to do that. I try to throw it more diagonal. So this way I'm landing. It's kind of like right there. But it also depends on if you're throwing a leg kick, you're throwing a head kick, throwing a body kick. But yeah, hopefully that answers your question. How long do you run per day? I run about anywhere between 20 and 30 minutes per day, I would say. So like 3 to 5K. And every once in a while, I'll throw in a 10K run just for shits and giggles. So long runs are really meditative for me. During a teep, do you go onto the toe or stay flat-footed? You stay flat-footed because that helps you with your balance and control a lot more. If you're up on your toes, it's going to be a little bit harder to control. You might be able to deliver a little bit more power. But typically, I use the teep for more defensive purposes and make sure that I'm in a good position to either defend or attack. So, yeah, typically, you'll learn from most people flat-footed. Yes, yes. Any major injuries so far? Broke my nose a couple times, had my arm broken in a fight, but I won that motherfucking fight. That's right. Had my arm broken in the first round from a head kick. So when you block head kicks, here's a little tip. Make sure everything's tight and it's not out like this. If it's out like this and the kick comes right across your arm, it could break your arm. And it broke my arm, but I was able to continue fighting. It was a really close fight, really tough opponent. I ended up winning. And that was a really rewarding experience, not just winning, but just finishing the fight. Other than that, I've broke my ribs before, broken a couple toes, but nothing like super serious, I guess. The arm was the broken arm was probably the most serious. I was out for about 18 months because I had to get a metal plate put in my arm with a bunch of screws and everything. So now I'm a bionic man. So you better watch out for these fucking elbows, yo. That's right. Mm-hmm. All right, 3 more questions. 3 more questions. Pick the best one, Scott. What kind of ways to defend there is Muay Thai? Are the same as boxing? So you can block, boom, boom, boom. You can slip, boom, boom. You can catch, you can check, and you can evade. Oh, my back. I forgot my back hurts a little bit. So block, parry, catch, evade, slip, clinch, I guess, is the defense. But those are the things that come to mind right now. Bobbing and weaving, I would try to avoid a little bit of Muay Thai. You don't want to have too much head movement. You want head movement, but you don't want to be like, hey, knee me in the face. You don't want to do that. Because getting knee in the face is not fun. What drove you to start Muay Thai fighting? Good question, Jackie. So I always grew up playing team sports. I was playing hockey and baseball. Played baseball in college. And after college, I just kind of, I got a scholarship to play at a 4-year school because I was at a junior college. But then I failed out of school, so then I had nothing to do. I was working as a personal trainer as well, and then I got fired as a personal trainer. And so fighting has always been something that scared me, but I always found myself fighting in hockey. And so I kind of gravitated towards the idea of facing my fears of fighting. So I joined an MMA gym, and the MMA gym really challenged me and pushed me. I really enjoyed the Muay Thai aspect of it all. Then in a serendipitous way, I won a poker tournament online for like $15,000. And then I got fired from my job and my lease was ending and my girlfriend broke up with me. And I just finished reading a book called The Fighter's Heart by Sam Sheridan about his journey across the world training martial arts. And his first trip was to Thailand to have a fight. And so that gave me the inspiration to book a trip to Thailand. So I booked a trip to Thailand, went there for 3 months, had my first 3 fights. And then I decided this is what I'm fucking doing. And the rest is history. That's my story. Hope you like it. 2 more questions. I've noticed it's easier to get hit when people are heavy on their lead foot. Any other timing tips you can share off the top of your head? Get a hit in when people are heavy on their lead foot. Faking. Fake like a motherfucker. Don't let them know what you're throwing, but get them to react. And so maybe you just do like a quick little shoulder fake or lift your leg up to get them to react. And then based off their reaction, you can build combinations and techniques off of that. So faking is a really good way to get a good feel for your timing. And also using your own range. So using your jab, your teep, your cross, your long range weapons. This way you can gauge your distance. It's going to help your timing a little bit more too. And also consider, so a lot of times you can be a counter fighter or you can get your strikes off first, right? If you get your strikes off first, there's pros and cons to everything, right? But be like a counter to the counter fighter, right? So be the first person to throw a combination knowing that your opponent is going to throw something back at you. And then based off their reaction off your combination, you counter them. So that's like next level matrix stuff, if you will. So I'll throw the jab, cross, roundhouse, and I'll notice he'll check the roundhouse and then attack with that same side, right? And I noticed he did that like twice in a row with that same combination. I'm like, all right, I know what he's doing now. So I'll throw the jab, cross, roundhouse. He'll check, and as he's coming with the roundhouse, I'll sweep his post leg, or I'll catch his kick and then counter. And so this way I set a pattern. I understand what his reaction to that pattern is, and then I'll break that pattern. And so a lot of fighting is pattern setting and then pattern breaking. So hopefully that helps with some timing tips. One more question. What makes someone a talented fighter? Hard work, coachability, a fighter's heart. I mean, obviously some type of athleticism definitely helps. Good vision, good fight IQ, But no, I would say work ethic, discipline, fighter's heart, open mind, willingness to fail is really important. Willingness to like be humbled often is important. And so hopefully that gives some insight. So thank you all for joining in. So I'm going to do a question, a trivia question. I don't know what it is yet. And whoever gets it right will win a free pair of gloves. Does that sound good? Now, before I do this, I need to know enough people are watching. So if you want to win a free pair of gloves, you want me to do this question, drop an emoji of some sort in the comments so I know that you're all watching. Otherwise, I don't know. If it's not cool enough, I won't do it. What's up? All the way from Alaska. What's up, Derek? Always catch you on some of these lives every now and then. But let me think of a question. Okay, we got a couple emojis. You guys are here. You guys are watching. You want some free gloves, I guess. Free gloves. Boom. Boom. All right. Cool. So, whoever gets to answer this question gets a free pair of gloves. There's 3 different types of gloves. Well, they're the same, but the 3 different styles, different sizes. They're $20 off right now at the Nak Muay Nation store for the next 24 hours. So if you're watching this, go grab them. You sexy beast, you. So the question is, what fighter holds the longest reigning Lumpini championship? Who is the longest reigning Lumpini champion? There's 2, but I'm just looking for one of those. Who was that? If you guys don't get this, I'll add more hints as we go. Who is one of the longest reigning Lumpini champions for 7 years? For 7 years. Bum, bum, bum. We need like the Jeopardy sound in the background. Who we got? Ball Cow. Nope. Ball Cow never won a Lumpini champion, believe it or not. Or any major stadium champion. Smart? Nope. Nope. Sanchez? Nope. Namsak Noi. Yes. The Emperor. He is nicknamed the Emperor because of his reigning Lumpini champion. So whoever got that first, whoever wrote that first, Scott, hooked them up with a free pair of gloves. If you were just a second too late, I'm sorry. We will do more giveaways like this as well. Namsak Noi's record was 285, 10, and 5. What a fucking beast. I did a private with him a few years ago. It's on my YouTube channel if you want to get some insights on the things that I learned from him. Definitely a brilliant teacher, brilliant fighter, and knows a ton of shit. So congratulations on winning the free pair of Nak Muay Nation gloves. Like I said, there's a limited amount in stock. They are $20 off for the next 24 hours. And yeah, really appreciate you guys being here. Really appreciate all the questions, all the engagement and everything. It's good to know that I have some awesome fucking fans who actually enjoy when I'm doing these lives. So I'll make sure to do more of them. And speaking of lives, I'm doing a live 5-day challenge, 5-day Fighter's Body challenge. I'm giving away some more free stuff, giving away a free Fighter's Body year membership, which is valued at over $400. And then I'm also going to be giving away a couple of free t-shirts and that kind of stuff as well. But the most important stuff is I'm going to be sharing some of my top motivation tips, top discipline tips, top mindset tips, top exercises, a little circuit workout. I'm going to be sharing my own morning routine that helps prime my mind and my body for the day. It also gets some reps in for shadow boxing. And I think you're really going to enjoy it. So make sure you go to thefightersbody.com/challenge. Check that shit out. And yeah, the Fighter's Body membership is going to be opening January 28th. And for those of you who don't know, the Fighter's Body is perfect for if you're in lockdown, or if you don't have a gym, or you don't have any equipment, or even if you do have a gym and you do have equipment, it's a great supplement to your already training at the gym. It's 12 months worth of workouts. It's 144 follow-along workouts, 144 hours worth of follow-along workouts, and it's systemized in a progressive way to help you get from point A to point B. Point A is where you are now. Point B is like championship level pro fighter shit. Now, obviously, you'll want to do some sparring and some other training alongside that. But the training that I give inside this course is very intentional. It's very specific. I share all my knowledge, all my techniques, combinations, drills inside of this. Like I said, every month is a different theme. I have a Fight Like Walkout month where we break down all of his techniques. So this way you can learn how to fight like him. And we have workouts that are specific to Walkout. And then also we have a Fight Like Sanchai, Fight Like Yatsenklai, Fight Like Deckers, Fight Like, I think I'm going to do Adesanya as well. So make sure you keep an eye on that. Go to thefightersbody.com, sign up for the free 5-day challenge, and hopefully I'll see you there. But I'll be doing another live later on this week, Thursday night at 8 p.m. So mark down your calendars. You can also set a reminder if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on Facebook, you can set a reminder on Facebook as well. But much love. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening, day, wherever the fuck you are in the world, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.